081-246-222-763-664-455. WhatsApp 77-500-0013. Azam TV, entertainment for everybody.
For 30 years, First Quantum Minerals has been creating opportunities for local businesses and building a supply chain that keeps Zambia's economy moving. At this year's Zambia International Trade Fair, we're showcasing our suppliers and contractors from Kansanshi Mining PLC and Trident Mine. Proof of what real local procurement looks like. In 2025 alone, we spent over $2.1 billion with Zambian suppliers, working with 1,500 local businesses and 11,500 contractors across our operations. Visit our stand at the trade fair in Ndola and see what 30 years of partnership we have built together.
Voting is one of the few moments where we all have a voice.
One person, one vote.
No titles, no status.
Just a choice.
It's not about doing nothing.
It's about showing up.
Because your vote matters.
It's easy.
It's important.
It's ours.
Count me in.
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 In every celebration, there's a simple choice being made. To belong, count me in. In moments of love and promises for tomorrow, count me in. At the checkout line, in the middle of an ordinary day, a reminder that every number matters. Count me in. Across our communities, our streets, the same message.
Voting is one of the few moments where we all have a voice.
One person.
Celebration. There's a simple choice. Outline in the middle of an ordinary day, a reminder that every number matters. Count me in. Across our communities, our streets, the same message finds us. Count me in. From the everyday worker to the hands shaping our future every day, the call is the same. Count me in. And around the traditions that bring us together, the message becomes impossible to ignore. Count me in.
This election season, your vote counts. Get your NRC and voters card ready.
Count me in.
Good morning and welcome yet again to another exciting edition of Daybreak. Yet again we dive into issues of national interest, and we're hoping that you'll be able to join the conversation because we have got so much, and so might be a soccer lover, a sports lover, and you must definitely be gutted following what happened even yesterday, or should I say this morning as well, because this World Cup is being played in the late hours. Some people might be dozing here and there in the offices. kudos to the likes of Congo. For me, one of the best performances we have seen against a star-studded English team. They just came shy because of quality in the final third. We just like that killer instinct, and I think that is something that we can say even across the African continent. But for the sports lovers, I wish it was a Friday. I would have been able to tell you that Jeremiah was going to be able to come through, but you can look forward to the Friday edition even as we dive into that. And you could still drop a comment on our Facebook platform in that regard, in case you might not fancy issues to do with the politics at present. We've got something for everyone. That's what I love about Daybreak. We're holistic in terms of presentation and giving you, of course, that which can appetize you.
With us, it's still a good opportunity. Better late than never for you to actually get in touch with your marketing department, or if you may as well go to Ndola at the trade fair. You can just call our marketing department, because they have everything to be able to get your business visibility that you need, even aside from everything that is happening in the political side. The trade fair is going on as well. We did see quite lots of people yesterday in Solwezi, where the president is actually doing a 2-day visit, and he has urged people of Solwezi and Mwinilunga district to vote for the ruling UPND to ensure the continued implementation of development programs. We'll be able to get into the nitty-gritties of this, but also some resignation and other people stepping down. John Mark, 42 days to go to election day. What an interesting time to be alive, hearing that former Mwinilunga Member of Parliament Honorable Newton Samakai has resigned from the ruling UPND with immediate effect. We'll be able to show his resignation even in the course of the show. Recently, President Hakainde Hichilema named Mr. Samakai alongside 3 other lawmakers, one Gary Nkombo, Elijah Muchima, as well as Elijah Muvanga, as UPND MPs who did refuse to vote in favor of Constitutional Amendment Bill number 7. So many questions. Others are speaking into how maybe he's done a good thing. He must have been angry. But others also are saying, is that the right decision? So I'll be speaking into these and, of course, many other stories. Yes, John Mark, it's good to see the Zambians that, we were worried about in South Africa, the xenophobic attacks that we did see them being given that 30th June deadline to vacate that country because of not having documented documents. And we did see repatriated Zambians arrive in Zambia, of course, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as well as the Zambian Embassy in Zambia. We did see men, we did see women and children arriving in the country. I saw a clip of this one woman was speaking, and on the latter note, John Mark, she was asked what she was doing in South Africa, and she spoke into how she has a business. She had a small business there, but also she was speaking into how I actually thought I was going to arrive in a grand style with Brazilian hair. But now I'm going as Onyenda Kumarilo, because it came unprepared on a lighter note. But it's actually good to see the men, the women and children, getting back to the country very safe. That was the second batch. The first batch did happen on the 25th of June. So it was good to see them repatriated well and very, very healthy, in good state, so to say. But they also spoke into how now would be a good time for government to be able to actually even maybe help them, assist them with small loans, so that they can get back on their feet back home.
That's exactly what I was even alluding to yesterday when I said it's one thing to have them back, it's another thing for them to be able to settle in terms of finances and financially. And we're hoping that indeed government will find an initiative to be able to at least help these particular individuals. And I was also listening to one of the African countries where some of the individuals were repatriated back to. They were saying that their government is trying by all means to assess each and every one of them and find out at least how much they were able to make. But what was interesting was they said that they would try by all means to even lobby or sue for the damages that were caused. In my mind, I was thinking, how are you going to be able to assess for each and every citizen? But every government has got its own style in which they are approaching this. But at the end of the day, we genuinely sympathize with them. And as much as we can talk about them settling down or coming back and also being incorporated back into society. I think the most important thing is that they are back safe and sound, because like I always say, you cannot you don't have spare parts for a limb, you don't have spare parts for any body part, even just internally. Once one part of the body, be it a pancreas, once it begins to malfunction, you are going to go to China and you're going to be on oxygen machines and undergo the tedious processes of trying to get back to what you once were.
And sometimes, regardless of where you go, we have seen, even with politicians or presidents, trying to actually get better services with regards to the health sector, even away from our country. But sometimes it fails. You may come back and you're not well. Others, God forbid, you would actually even die. So what is wealth without health? We like to say that from the health sector. So indeed, health is wealth. You can only be able to do anything that you want to do if you're in good state, rather mentally, physically, and everything to do with your body with regards to your health. So we are very excited that they are back home and they are safe, and hopefully they will indeed be integrated back into society so that they can be able to get back on their feet. But also from the GCTR, not so good news for families in Lusaka. Maybe it's that type of thing where we speak on the show here with Paul John Mark, that it's me, my family, and I now. We don't want visitors. But then again, we are Africans, and Ubuntu entails that you may be able to still accommodate your cousins. But maybe now they have to perhaps go and ask, like, is this a good time to visit? I know when relatives visit us, when mom would tell us that it's not in our culture to be able to ask them, like, Mwendalit, like, when are you going back?
Only the children have got that type of courage. And sometimes the parents would go and the parents will literally ask them, go and ask them when they are going. So kids will be kids, and that's what I really love about them. But I also think now is a good opportunity for those individuals who were being sent money by the people who went to South Africa, those who've been repatriated. Right. Now it's a good time for them to also give back to them, because to be honest with you, it's very easy for you to, and it's a good thing to have a relative who's outside the country and a country that's doing better, because when you convert kwacha to rand, and you will be able to get to the money markets very soon, you will be able to see the differences, and you also give back indirectly.
Extend an olive branch even when the cost of living now for a family of 5 in Lusaka is high. The cost of living for a family of 5 in Lusaka remains high despite improvements in macroeconomic indicators, with the Justice Center for Theological Reflection, JCTR, Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket standing now at 12,112 in June 2026. The June figures represent an annual increase of 349 kwacha 15 ngwe from 11,763 recorded in June 2025, and a rise of 747 from 11,365 in January this year. And JCTR Social and Economic Development Program Officer Michael Kasanda says the increase demonstrates that the cost of meeting basic households needs continues to place significant pressure on family budgets despite improvements in the country's economic performance. Mr. Kasanda has observed that the increase in the cost of living occurred during a period in which Zambia recorded positive macroeconomic developments, including a decline in annual inflation from 11.2% in December 2025 to 6.5% in June 2026, the appreciation of the kwacha against major foreign currencies, progress in restructuring the country's external debt, and improved agricultural production. However, it says these gains have not translated into improved living conditions for many households, particularly low-income families, as the cost of essential goods has continued to rise. Indeed, these are conversations, John Mark, that we usually speak into, how, food items in the house, such as the charcoal. If you are one household that actually uses charcoal, you know how high that can actually get. I usually laugh at my mom, John Mark. She usually gets gets charcoal in stock just in preparation for the rain season. She usually has even 20 or 25 or 30 charcoal. I'm like, why are you storing this? But we do see how handy it also comes in during this period, and we need it. So charcoal, kapenta, vegetables, and tomatoes continue to just, place significant pressure on household budgets.
True, and what I really like about the BNNB, the Basic Nutrition Food Basket, is that it itemizes each and every item that it looks at, and kudos to also JCTR. Sometimes we tend to forget that they are very consistent month after month, and the whole country actually waits to actually hear the BNNB. I'm just hoping that, even making an appeal, that they could at least be slightly more consistent in terms of exactly the time frame in which they release the basket. Sometimes it's in the first
social platform, the Prime Television Facebook page Zambia. Let us know where you're watching the show this morning, what is on your mind, your expectations, even as we are in quite an interesting period, which you have to be updated with the news, getting news from the right sources, Prime Television being one of them also. This is a very crucial period for you to not be able to be misinformed, so you make better decisions even as we head to the polls very soon, as 42 days to go today to get to voting day. But maybe for now, let's get to check out with how the weather and money markets are faring this morning. For most places this morning, the morning will be mainly cloudy, slightly windy, and mild to cool as the rest of the day progresses. But for Lusaka, the highs of 23 and the lows of 11. In Southern, the highs of 27 and the lows of 9. Central, the highs of 24 and the lows of 10. On the Copper Belt, the highs of 26 and the lows of 10. In Eastern, the highs of 26 and the lows of 13. The afternoon will be mostly sunny, slightly windy and warm to hot. Maximum temperature will be in the range of 24 degrees and 32 degrees. The evening will be mainly clear, windy at times and mild to very cool. It's still winter, so that is how the weather is looking like this morning. So do keep warm and take care of yourselves to be able to prevent illnesses that come with the season as well, especially the children going to school. Ensure that they're very warm. The money markets. Exchange rates courtesy of the Bank of Zambia. As of the close of business, the United States dollar was buying at 18 kwacha 1 ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha 35 ngwe. The Great British Pound buying at 23 kwacha 87 ngwe and getting to sell at 24 kwacha 32 ngwe. The euro buying at 20 kwacha 51 ngwe and selling at 20 kwacha 90 ngwe. The South African rand buying at 1 kwacha 8 ngwe and getting to sell, at 1 kwacha 10 ngwe. Note that these rates are indicative and of course may vary from bank to bank. Even as we head to business day this morning, these are rates courtesy of the Bank of Zambia. After this short break, more conversations, trending stories. Of course, we'll also be looking out with what's coming out from the newspapers. Be here. Good morning.
Welcome to New World of Entertainment in Zambia. Cartoons, music, details. Contact us on 971-246-222, 763-664-455. WhatsApp 77-500-0013. Watch all your favorite channels free for 2 months. For more details, contact us on 971-246-222, 763-664-455. WhatsApp 77-500-0013. Azam TV, entertainment for everybody.
For 30 years, First Quantum Minerals has been creating opportunities for local businesses and building a supply chain that keeps Zambia's economy moving. At this year's Zambia International Trade Fair, we're showcasing our suppliers and contractors from Kansanshi Mining PLC and Trident Mine. Proof of what real local procurement looks like. In 2025 alone, we spent over $2.1 billion with Zambian suppliers, working with 1,500 local businesses and 11,500 contractors across our operations. Visit our stand at the trade fair in Ndola and see what 30 years of partnership we have built together.
Voting is one of the few moments where we all have a voice.
One person, one vote.
No titles, no status.
Just a choice.
It's not about doing nothing.
It's about showing up.
Because your vote matters.
It's easy.
It's important.
It's ours.
Count me in.
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 In every celebration, there's a simple choice being made. To belong, count me in. In moments of love and promises for tomorrow, count me in. At the checkout line, in the middle of an ordinary day, a reminder that every number matters. Count me in. Across our communities, our streets, the same message finds us. Count me in. From the everyday worker to the hands shaping our future every day, the call is the same. Count me in. And around the traditions that bring us together, the message becomes impossible to ignore. Count me in.
This election season, your vote counts. Get your NRC and voters card ready.
Count count me in.
All right, and before we can even dive into any other stories, let me read some of your messages coming through on Facebook. In case you're just joining us for the very first time, we are live on our Facebook platform, Prime Television Zambia, and also you could also send in that message. Once that message is also sent, we also are usually live on YouTube, so you're going to be seen or heard by the masses. And I say heard deliberately because we also have listeners via Lukulu Radio. We want to take this opportunity yet again. This is, I'm going to sound like a broken record, and I don't mind, because we want to appreciate Lukulu Radio management for tapping into the Daybreak feed so that the people of Lukulu are following through. Those of you who are driving, please drive safely. We want you to arrive at your intended destination safe and sound. Better late than never, so they say. Drop a comment on our Facebook platform, Prime Television Zambia. Don't text and drive. You can park and then send us a message in case you're enjoying the conversation, unless you are those who might be on the bus or perhaps on a taxi within Lukulu or the areas, to be able to send us that particular message. Let me read the messages coming through on Facebook, beginning with Mwanaote Printing Services. Greetings to you, Mr. Mwanaote. Thank you so much for sending in that message. The great Mwanaote, so he's called. Greetings, and found, of course, within the 10 miles area. Clarence Monde Muziamba says, good morning, Daybreak family. Always vibrant and informative show. What is the benefit of having a single-digit inflation when the cost of basic needs, cooking oil, sugar, mini meal remain high? Questions being asked. Other messages coming through. Benson says, good morning, Daybreak family. Good morning, John Mark. Good morning, Naomi. Good morning, Paul. In absentia, Benson. Indeed, Paul is also following through. Good morning, Paul. And I know that he will be with us shortly. Rupert says, good morning, Daybreak family. Watching and following you from Chipata, Eastern Province. Wakumawa, Mulibwanji, or should I say Mwaswera Bwanji. Clarence Monde Muziamba from Zehest says, Prime Television Zambia, good morning. Following from Zambian Empowerment Hub for Entrepreneurship and Skills Training, Zehest. Thank you so much for sending in those messages. Keep them coming. We will be able to touch your messages even as we progress on today's edition. And I am excited because I know that we'll be able to get into conversations with governance expert Mr. Wesley, and I will be able to ask him if he does agree with Christian Democratic Party CDP presidential candidate Apostle Dan Pule, who has promised, by the way, that once elected into government, his party will ensure that a bag of mili meal does not exceed 200 kwacha for breakfast and between 180 and 150 for roller meal. Do you buy into those promises? Are some promises far-fetched? We will be able to get those comments coming through. It's very interesting at this particular point. Promises flying left, right, and center. How realistic are they? How attainable are they? Sometimes it's also good to also hear from the technocrats, because politicians in this particular moment will definitely speak, but we'll be able to get at least an objective view from governance expert Mr. Wesley. And before we dive into, or rather after we dive into the tabloids now.
Indeed. Yesterday, as I was, walking home from here, I did see a vehicle of the UPND, and then I think it was a Roma aspiring candidate in the vehicle with a few people in their car, just speaking into how he was also promising our community, the development that he will apparently bring to that community of ours. And I was walking past, just hearing to the promises. I'm like, indeed, what an interesting time to be alive. Will these promises be able to be fulfilled? We'll be able to find out even past voting day. But keep the conversations going, as John Mark has alluded to. We'll be able to get into our guest interview this particular morning. So it's a totally to meeting its obligations to retired employees in recognition of their contribution to Zambia's higher education sector. Let's get to this report by February Chisi, who will speak right after.
For years, thousands of release an additional 450 million to address outstanding personal obligations at both the University of Zambia and the Copperbelt University. And I'm saying today, this money has been released as I'm speaking right now. These resources have been allocated as follows: 88 million to settle all outstanding pension and gratuity obligations for retirees at the Copperbelt University, 225 million to settle pension obligations for retirees at the University of Zambia covering the periods 2021 to 2023, 137 million to clear gratuity obligations at the University of Zambia covering the period 2016 to 2020. The government says paying off historical debts is only one part of a much broader recovery plan. The 2026 national budget has increased operational funding for the country's two largest public universities. While settling historical liabilities is important, financial sustainability alone will not transform our universities. The ministry recognizes that the meaningful reform must also improve the environment in which the students learn and staff work. For this reason, therefore, government has increased operational support to public universities through the 2026 national budget. The University of Zambia received an additional 90 million kwacha in operational funding, while the Copperbelt University received an additional 50 million kwacha. These enhanced allocations are intended to strengthen institutional operations, improve service delivery, and enable university management to focus on their core mandates of teaching, researching, and innovation.
Ministry of Education Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Kelvin Mambo, says the reforms are part of government's long-term strategy to rebuild Zambia's public universities after years of financial and operational challenges. Favorite Chisi, Prime TV News, Lusaka.
That is the latest with regards the education sector. The retirees given, their intended monies. John Mark, in case somebody is thinking what is a pension and what is also a gratuity. A pension is a regular incurring income paid to an individual after they retire, while gratuity is a one-time lump sum payment given by an employer to reward long-term service or to fulfill a specific contract. Pensions really provide ongoing financial security, John Mark, usually, monthly for the rest of your life. And a gratuity is a single payment received all at once. So it's interesting and at least soothing to note that, they've been recognized, they've been given the money for what they worked for.
Which is a good thing, which is a very good thing. And on a light note, Naomi, Pompey sang a song and he said, Nga wafulwa. It's like, in other words, when you get the money over time, and he explained in his song that there are individuals, the moment they get the money, the brain stops working. Someone said that when I don't have money, I've got so many good ideas. Then when once the money comes in, I just begin to dish it out before I realize it is completely gone. So first and foremost, of course, kudos to those who have been able to ensure that the monies have been sent out, and we're just hoping that they represent the beneficiaries at CBU and UNZA will be able to have the wisdom to be able to spend it wisely. I know when you begin to talk like this, it reminds me of what happened with NAPSA, the 20% retirement benefits under NAPSA. When we did hear about that immediately after the UPND assumed office, people were saying, don't tell people how to spend their money, but there's no harm in giving them advice. The beauty with advice is you can take it or you can't.
Right.
And just to also comment on that, Naomi, I think under the UPND we've been able to see that this is not something that is new. If it was just something that just happened this particular year, would say the timing, because whenever news does break, you also have to ask why this particular timing. If it was a once-off, would have been able to say that it is something that is just a political. It's political in nature, but actually we do remember. I'm also reminded that on February the 30th, Minister of Labour and Social Security Brenda Tambatamba also stated that the 20% pre-retirement benefit under NAPSA was a major win for the workers, which was achieved immediately when the UPND took office, and she also did speak on the program dubbed The Platform. The minister hinted on the possibility of a 10% increment on the 20% partial withdrawal under the ongoing pension reforms. So it's not something that is new, and I think on that one you can give the UPND some kudos. We have got relatives. Personally, I have a relative, a close relative, who had been waiting for years on end. They were on a huge particular line, and for me, let me just say this, it's so disheartening that when it comes to the regular citizens, they do not get their pensions on time. But you talk about the parliamentarians, the moment Parliament does close, they get their gratuity, they get their dues right on time. But even the hard-working citizens, some of them, when you go in the communities, you find that some individuals have actually died without getting their pension. So for me, when I hear news about pensioners getting their dues, what they've been able to work for, that is also very good. And we want to also extend the cause to be able to ask that for each and every sector, those individuals who have not been able to get their monies and they have died, government should ensure that those individuals, the records are already there. They should be able to have those funds transferred to their next of kin, if you will. It's very, very important. May I add this thought, Naomi? Some of these individuals who have worked so hard and have been waiting, some of them, they come to Prime Television Zambia. We find them at the reception.
Yes, with papers.
They come with papers, and the moment they come through, this is someone, you ask them, where are you coming from? I'm coming from maybe Kaputa. And when you ask them to say, okay, once you're able to complain, have you been able to follow the right procedures? They'll tell you, I've followed the right procedures, but at the end of the day, I'm just being told stories. Then you ask them to say, okay, after you speak on radio, what's the plan? Then they'll say, actually, I have nowhere to go. I've got nowhere to sleep. I didn't even plan or even budget, because the cost here in Lusaka is so high, and you can see that they are literally struggling. When you come through to Prime Television Zambia, just spend a day or two, you find them at the reception. Some of them, Naomi, when they come through, you find that they will ask to speak immediately. And sometimes, because our reporters are in the field, we tell them to say, could you maybe wait up until 12? So in that particular moment, sometimes the Ubuntu in you begins to come out and say, let me buy them a drink as they wait. And some of them will be so grateful just for you to even just spend a 10 kwacha.
And while that is happening, will be told stories of how, they have worked so long without getting their pensions, and it's really, really heartbreaking. Nobody should ever have to live destitute after retirement, John Mark. Hence, the need for pensions, because they are designed to replace your salary and help maintain your standard of living even in retirement. We want to see that you also be able to maintain the respect and the dignity even after retirement. Hence, these monies are really, really coming in handy, and people should be able to live well even after retirement, really, for the benefit of what their contribution was to whatever sector they could have been in, either education sector, the mining sector, anywhere really.
True. And others are even struggling with high BP because of the pressures. Can you imagine, you've worked for so long, Naomi, you've worked faithfully, and then you're expecting your dues to come in, they don't come in, and then you know how people talk. Others will say, wajawaribe wisdom, after working for so long, and then they've got nothing to show for it. When you begin to hear things like that, you find that psychologically, you find that your health begins to fail. And it's not necessarily your body that's failing you, but psychologically, once you're defeated, it just leaves so much to be desired. Some of these individuals, their houses are still at foundation level, window level, for so long. Their houses they've got cracks, and they've failed to be able to work on their houses. They remain in a deplorable state.
With which money would they be able to work on their houses?
Exactly. They had, in their mind, they're thinking, once the money's come through, I'll be able to invest this. And for me, this is something that I'm very passionate about, because I have seen it with my own eyes, where individuals who have genuinely worked hard, they have got projects that have stalled for so long, and yet we have got these individuals who are the public servants, as we call them. They call themselves our servants, but the servant is moving in a vehicle with a flag. The servant is is in an office that has got an aircon. While those individuals, once they are able to work, those who are supposed to be the lords or the lords of the servants, they take so long to get their dues. So for me, I get excited when I get to hear that individuals have gotten their dues. But let me also state that we don't expect moving forward that we should only be hearing about issues of pension, people getting their dues. few months before the elections. This is something that must be a monthly thing. And even under the UPND, I remember, should be on the Copper Belt due to one of the mining firms coming back on board. I remember one of the mayors, once the head of state touched down on the Copper Belt, she, from the PF by the way, she literally told the president to say that because of what you've been able to do in terms of ensuring that the mines are up and about, we've been able to also pay up some of these retirees as well. So we need to be hearing more of those particular stories, but especially not just when elections are coming close. It should be a monthly thing.
Absolutely.
Because each and every individual out there deserves to get their hard-earned money.
Absolutely, because when it's done towards elections, you'll be thinking, is the intention really right, or they perhaps just doing it for the votes? Gratuities act as a financial thank you or severance to help with immediate capital needs. We all have to be able to, use the money that we have been able to work for, and thank you definitely makes room for more. So it's good that indeed they've been recognized for their service, the service that they were offering to Zambia, but also it shouldn't take after so many years and after the complaints, after maybe hearing that they will protest for the monies to be released. Hopefully it will be released in good faith and in good time as well. Even as the conversations continue on the show, let's quickly get to check out what's coming out from the newspapers, and then we will get to our guest interview. You also see some of these projected on the screen this particular morning. From the mass newspapers, it seems Mr. Sulumbe is back. John Mark is he leading in the must rather. UPND will pay dearly. Mr. Hichilema's desire to destroy the country is not hidden anymore, and it's up to you Zambians to vote him out so that we protect the country from this bad omen. Is the country in a bad omen, Zambians? You will be able to make that decision. Second revolution is here. Zulu tells Chinsali. They are in Chinsali campaigning. National Reconciliation Party for Unity and Prosperity, NRPUP. Such a mouthful, John Mac. Running mate Makebi Zulu has likened the current cry for change of government to the 1963 Cha-Cha-Cha revolution that ousted the colonial government. The story continues on page 3 of the mass newspaper. We're suffering, freedom fighters mourn. We're speaking into how those who've been able to save the country actually even have to cry like this. Zambia United National Freedom Fighters Association members in Chinsali District, Muchinga Province, have accused the government of neglecting them. We usually hear such conversations when it's Africa Freedom Day, John Mark, when we get to have freedom fighters. Not so long ago, we actually did speak to one freedom fighter, and he was just sharing with us some of the struggles that they do go through, and sometimes they feel like they are not being appreciated for the work that they have done for the country, and hence I guess this is where this is coming from. We're suffering, freedom fighters mourn. Fuel reduction, a campaign gimmick. The story continues on page 3 of the mass newspaper. The army must defend the republic, not police its politics. All right, that is what's coming out from the mass newspaper this morning. Let's move to the Times of Zambia this morning. Kalala slams misleading sentiments on reserves. The reserves conversations are still going on. ZITF opens gates. Of course, the 2026 Zambia International Trade Fair has opened its gates to the members of the public, with Commerce, Trade and Industry Permanent Secretary Lilian Walia stressing the importance of 1.4 billion African population to economic growth. We are also at the trade fair, like we earlier alluded to. It'll be a good time to still be able to contact our marketing departments to get your businesses advertised. And Queen's Eye World Cup. The story continues on page 16 of the Times of Zambia. Vote for us, HH. Of course, the president is definitely on a 2-day visit, and of course in Solowezi, where we did see a lot of people going there, and he was speaking into how we should continue to vote for him. when he addressed mammoth rallies in 2 districts. President Hichilema advised voters against voting for independent candidates, urging them instead to vote for UPND candidates to be able to guarantee policy continuity. Northwestern chiefs want bigger role, and VIP connects with grassroots. State extends tax waiver on petroleum. As he says, vote for us. Again, of course, HH, as he says, UPND has delivered. This is what's coming out from the Times of Zambia. Let's move to Real Times. Real Times leading story, Munduvile rejects Kafwaya's remarks, says comments by Alliance Finance chairperson are personal and not official, deserving apology. We did see Mr. Munduvile indeed distancing himself from the remarks that Mr. Kafwaya had made. HH pledges more deliverables. This is what's coming out from the Real Times this morning. Let's move to the Money Daily. Cost of living rises by nearly 750 kwacha in first half of 2026. We did open with this. Latest basic needs and nutrition basket. A report by the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, JCTR, shows that the cost of living for a family of 5 in Lusaka increased by 49 kwacha 15 ngwe over the past year, rising from 1,763.38% in 2025 to 12,112 in June 2026. On a lighter note, I was saying you still want to have many children, John Mark, with the cost of living. That, hey, it's a conversation for another day. Government commissions $137,500 United States groundwater mapping project in Kazungula. The Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation has commenced the $137,500 United States groundwater mapping and development project and additional water supply schemes. The story continues on page 2 of the Money Daily. Dutch investors eye stronger Zambia ties in critical mineral sector. Netherlands has expressed interest in strengthening investment and cooperation with Zambia in the critical mineral sector as global demand for minerals needed. That story continues on page 5 of the Money Daily. And tobacco sales exceed 104.9 United States dollar, boosting sector growth, economic contribution. These are the stories from the Money Daily. Let's close it off with the Daily Nation this particular morning. Leading story, ECZ dismisses pre-marked ballot papers. There were assertions from the Tonse Alliance speaking into the fact that maybe the Tonse Alliance raises concern. They did raise concern over extra presidential ballot papers and undisclosed security features, observing the printing that's taking place in Dubai. But of course, ECZ is disputing those allegations. The story continues on page 3 of the Daily Nation. We won't harass HH. Munduvile seems he's continued on this promise. Promise that President Hichilema should have no fear as the new administration will look after him well after the August 13 elections. Story continues on page 3 of the News Diggers. Seems he has continued on this promise. We'll see if indeed it will happen should they win the elections. I don't hate HH, Dr. Sishua, but says he hates President Hichilema's bad leadership, tribalism, regionalism, as he dismisses assertions that he is a bitter man because he had been denied a job in the UPND regime. Discloses that he earns more money than the head of state on a basic scale. Okay, I didn't see it coming that it's going to be an issue on who actually, gets a lot of money, John Mark. That's Dr. Sishua for you.
Yeah, that's why I said that we're going to hear a lot of interesting stories leading to the elections or the polling days. And I think we're going to be ready to also have a good laugh.
Absolutely.
That's a guarantee.
Absolutely.
That's a guarantee.
Indeed. And we close it off with UPND suffered persecution While in opposition, HH says citizens from selected regions and areas such as Mwinilunga were often
that the Zambia Police Service had noted with concern incidents of damaging campaign materials belonging to political parties and candidates in some parts of the country. Police Public Relations Officer Godfrey Chilavi said these acts are unlawful in line with the Electoral Process Act number 35 of 2016 and the Electoral Code of Conduct, which prohibits any person from defacing, removing, damaging or destroying campaign materials belonging to another political party or candidate. Mr. Chilavi said these acts are unlawful and undermine the integrity of the electoral process. He stated that offenders are liable upon conviction to a fine of up to 200,000 penalty units equivalent to 80,000 kwacha, imprisonment for a period of up to 2 years or both. Our reporter covered the story.
Offenders are liable upon conviction to a fine of up to 200,000 penalty units equivalent to 80,000 kwacha, imprisonment for a period of up to 2 years or both. Further, such acts may also constitute the offense of malicious damage to property under Section 335(1) of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia, which carries a penalty of up to 2 years imprisonment upon conviction. The service therefore warns all political actors and members of the public against engaging in any form of vandalism or interference with campaign materials. Anyone found culpable will be dealt with firmly in accordance with the law. In this regard, the Zambia Police Service has increased patrols, investigations and strengthened rapid responses to deal with such incidents. The service is also working with the Electoral Commission of Zambia to conduct community sensitization and public awareness campaigns to prevent these offenses and promote compliance with the law. Members of the public are encouraged to report any such incidents to the nearest police station or through the toll-free lines 9010 or 9011 for prompt action.
Okay.
All right, and we continue with today's edition, and we did say that we'll be able to dive into this very, very important story. It's important because at the end of the day, candidates also put in so much in terms of preparation for their campaigns, and amongst the cost that is also involved is to do with the campaign posters, and to have individuals having to deface or remove or damage the campaign materials belonging to another political party or candidate is something that is a very, very important issue. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, John Mark.
It's good to see you.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Indeed.
Especially and this cool morning.
Yeah. I know that you also are eager to dive into this particular story, but just behind the scenes you said that it's important that you also just touch briefly on what we were alluding to in terms of issues to do with the pension and the people receiving their dues, especially those that have died without getting their pension. Even up to today, their beneficiaries or their next of kin have not even received those funds.
Thank you very much, John Mark. Yeah, especially for giving me an opportunity to speak to this very important issue. Yeah, and you know what? When UPND was still in opposition, I think that was one of their campaign messages. They stated clearly that once they form government, they would make sure that all those people that have not yet been paid their dues would be cleared. Of course, we have seen a number of them that have been cleared. A number of them have been cleared. You know, those people were actually sleeping, you know, at the Minister of Finance, Minister of Justice. You know, they are no longer, you know, doing that. Why? Because at least they've been attended to. And we still actually give accolades to the same government of UPND because, you know, it has continued, you know, paying or clearing these people. Already, we talk about the Dampost, you know, former employees. They were paid, okay? And, you know, this time around, we are talking about the Yunza workers. Are they workers? 450 million has been released to pay. Now, people, of course, people with political minds may wish to state that no, it's because it's a political gimmick, where this government is trying to win favor from. But this has been an ongoing, issue. It's an ongoing issue. Just something that this government has been doing, from the time they formed the government. Now, the issue now maybe that I need to speak to is it's not everyone who has been cleared. There are some people that are still owed. There are some people that are still complaining that they need to be paid their dues. They have not been paid up to today. I'll give you an example. The former ZISC employees, Zambia State Insurance, Corporation, former employees who were retrenched way back in 1991. These people are supposed to be about 1,000, but unfortunately, as we speak now, they are about 700, meaning 300 have died without actually receiving these benefits. Now, governments have come, governments have gone, and these former ZISC employees and any other retirees that we may have around had a lot of hope in the UPND government that once HH formed government, they would actually be able to be cleared. Up to today, they are still crying. Up to today, people have continued actually dying without receiving their packages. Now, when you look at the situation, some of them actually have died because of depression. They've died because of depression, because after providing that service to that public institution, at the end of the day, somebody is not given what is.
So if at all it is established that they've died out of depression, do you feel there's need to compensate them?
Yeah,
compensate the families.
They have families, they have children, they have grandchildren that need actually to benefit from that arrangement. So what we are saying is, how I wish, after releasing 450 million, for UNZA workers, but then look, Zambia State Insurance former employees are owed about 50 million, which can easily be sourced somewhere. They pay, and people will be able to appreciate.
How can we be able to lessen the burden and pay them in good time so that somebody should?
Lawyer who was representing the same people actually went into an agreement without them knowing, without the employees knowing. They went into an agreement, and that's how they slashed down the amount that was supposed to be paid according to the ruling of the court. So when the employees were offered this, is it 182,000? Right now, as we speak, it comes to 182,000 for them to share 1,000 of them, meaning each person was supposed to get how much? They rejected. They said no. According to the ruling of the court, we are supposed to have this 50. Is it 42,000? Yes, 42 million. Kwacha. But where is this money? He said, no, you have already actually signed a consent. That consent order was not even signed by any of those people, any of those former employees. So meaning they were duped, they were swindled, and then they've just been left in the court, which is not fair. Now I've been trying to advocate for this issue, trying to see how the government would come in, especially investigative wing, because there's some corruption involved. People who were involved by that time should have been investigated.
Can you prove it?
Well, yes, I can prove it because the documents are there. The ruling, the court ruling is there. The amount is clearly indicated. And the amount that was slashed, that was changed from this 42 million to 182,000 is there. So documents are there. So now I made an earnest appeal to the investigative wings and even the current leadership that please can you look into this issue and ensure that these people are paid their dues. Up to today, John Mark, these people are still crying. They've gone in all the offices. They've been to the public protector. After the court ruling, they've been to all these institutions, including the Attorney General's office, but nothing is actually being done. So it's very unfortunate that little money that these people are owed is not paid. As for the UNZA workers, they are lucky enough to receive their 450 million.
Now, if you're saying that they've been able to follow through and follow the right channels, going to the right offices, and nothing has been done, isn't that worrisome? Because it's not just in this particular sector. There are some individuals who tell you that even just to get proper documentation, even just a simple document that everyone is mandated to get, for example, a passport and NRC, sometimes you find that you take so long, but others will allege to say if you're able to pay a little bit of something, the documentation will come out very quickly.
Now, the documentation that they have, you know what happened? President Hakainde Hichilema, the Republican president right now, is very much aware of this because he even met members, former ZISC employees. He met them at the secretariat. At the time he was in opposition, and he promised once forming government, then would ensure that he looks into that issue. But up to today, each time they try to push in some documents to see the head of state, you know what? They get blocked. They get blocked, and they've been pushing all these documents. They get blocked, and actually the president, the president is over.
Be a caveat. There seems to be individuals that don't want some specific individuals to meet with the president, and you are saying the same message. Do you think that that is a coincidence?
It could be. It could not be. What am I trying to say? It's a common knowledge, John Mark. People who are surrounding the president, I would clearly state that they tend to be selfish.
Aren't you contradicting yourself? You just said it's common knowledge, and then you said it could be.
Wait. They tend to be inconsiderate. When people, those of us who are outside the circle, have an issue to do with the president, they don't feel like entertaining that. They would rather block it and keep quiet.
But how do you block something that might possibly be beneficial to the general public, for the common good?
It's all about selfishness. Because if I were to be given the privilege to be next to the president, then I see somebody with an issue. With an issue is very important. Of course, I would pave way and say, okay, this issue, let it actually come through so that the president can have a look at it. But people who are surrounding the president actually have not actually done anything on that matter. And up to today, the former ZISC employees have not been paid their dues. And this is now from 1991. Do you know how many years? It's about 30. Is it 30 something years now?
Are there any who are surviving?
No, yeah, there are about 700 of them. About 700 something. As for that difference, they've died without receiving their packages. So, if the president can right away look at that and see to it that these people are paid their dues, they would really appreciate. I know Kandrama, looks small, but to them it matters because that's what belongs to them. That's their money. They're supposed to be paid.
Have you ever had an audience with the individuals who have survived the deceased who are supposed to be given their dues? What is their mood? How is their reaction when they get to hear that they have not received what is rightfully theirs?
Let me tell you, sometimes I reach the extent of shedding tears. I'm dealing with elderly people, my own parents actually, my own grandparents, very old people. When we are actually having such discussions, they tend to even shed tears, and you feel it. You say, Meaning, to answer your question, John Mark, I've interacted with a lot of these people, a lot of them, a number of them. Some of them are on the copper belt, like the chairperson, Mr. Shadunga. Others like Mr. Chapa, they are here in Lusaka. Mr. Braston Lungu, they are here. They've not been actually attended to. They are old people, they are elder people that actually, you can actually sympathize with.
Listen to this message by Joe Musonda. He says, government has been paying retirees. So many have been paid. It's not about elections. Speaking about what Nami was alluding to in terms of CBU and UNZA. But when it comes to ZISC, why the delay?
I don't know. Up to today, I've failed to understand.
Could we say that because of CBU and UNZA and how strategic they are in terms of their votes, that could be a connotation?
No, is
that an allegation?
No. It has nothing to do with vote. But as for in their case, there's this key, former employees. What happened is their issue was even in the court. Now I don't know where the problem is. Maybe the government is trying to is actually doubting as to whether they've been paid or not. But what I know is that this issue has been in court, and actually the ruling was in their favor. But for the government to find time, especially for those government officials to find time to delve into that, do some kind of investigation so that they get to the root of the matter. At the end of the day, the president is given the right information for him to act, that they should be paid. That's where the problem is. So it's something that actually pierces my heart, because I feel I'm part of this, and when I look at the kind of suffering they are going through, I feel very, very bad.
Are you only speaking about this now because you know that if at all the campaign period is done, the issue of the payments of retirees will be shelved?
No, I'm speaking to this. I've been speaking to this for several times, especially each time I see other people are being paid. Like when the Zampost and former employees were paid, I raised the same concerns. I said, well, if these can be paid, what more? What of the former ZISC employees? Why are they not being paid? Even when the issue of to do it, a lot of money has been released. Were released, by the Minister of Finance. I could raise those issues. So, meaning our issue, our speaking to this matter has nothing to do with the politics, has nothing to do with maybe elections. All we are saying is these people are supposed to be paid, whether elections or without elections. These people are supposed to be paid.
I'm very concerned. You talked about the Zampost being paid. Now we talked about the individuals at CBU and UNZA. But Evans Chinyama in the comment section says, please, kindly find out also the pending allowances for the officers who worked during the national-wide registration exercise for the NRCs.
Okay.
Since last year, April, government is still owing the officers.
And it's very unfortunate. Because, so meaning to say, government cannot actually continue taking advantage of the poor Zambians by engaging them. After they've done the work, then you fold your arms, you don't pay them. We have seen this, and already that comment that is coming clearly shows that people somewhere, they are complaining already. That
in majority of the in some of the sectors.
Okay? So now, it's very unfair, because when you are dealing with somebody like the way I'm talking about you have a family to look after. Maybe you're even renting. So for you to find time to...
That's just tasked for issues of pension, because this is a very serious issue. Like you've mentioned, some individuals have actually died because of BP, worried about their dues, worried about where they're going to be able to house their children who they've been able to work for so many years. So do you think that maybe something must be developed in that regard?
You are very right, John Mark. If possible, let's have a desk specifically to look at the plight of retirees. Just over this issue, there's an officer who has been signed to go to Millennium Radio every Friday to attend to issues to do with these retirees and other things related to government institutions. That man actually is given about 1 hour on the Millennium Radio where people are supposed to call. Okay, I'm told it's Mr. Mlobela. That people are supposed to call to present their issues, so that from there he can get those issues and present them somewhere else. Now that is not enough, because it's not everyone who managed to call. There are people that may not have talk time. Others may not even know how to go about it.
But also there
and then when he's on the program, there are very few calls that actually go through.
But there are people who've been hired to specifically deal or look at these issues. What good will the desk be if the same people will be that side? The things that they've been not able to do, the desk will be able to help do them?
Yeah, if we can have a specific desk, I think that would be the best thing to do, because you'll have specific people to look into the plight of other people that have not been attended to.
What guarantee will we have that those people will be able to actually do the work?
Yeah, with close supervision, of course. Because if you just set up a desk like the way it is here, then you ask somebody to say, oh, now you should be attend to these issues. Without close supervision, you find that it becomes a challenge. Now, I'll give an example. There are so many issues that government sometimes plans. But when it comes to implementation, that's where we have a problem. Now, the issue that you are trying to raise has to do with implementation. How possible is it that this desk is going to do the right thing for people to be satisfied with the services that are being offered? So these are the issues that maybe we need to look at. After establishing that particular desk, then we must have close supervision to ensure that this desk actually should mean well.
And just for clarity, for those who might not be aware of who's responsible to follow through in terms of retirees and whatnot. So the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, the ministry oversees pension policy and the administration of the national pension system through relevant institutions. Then there's also NAPSA, which is the National Pension Scheme Authority. This is a statutory body that collects pension contributions and pays retirement, invalidity, and survivor benefits to eligible members. Then there's a Public Service Pensions Fund. This manages pensions for eligible public service employees. So could we say that the blame should be on these three bodies?
I'm not too sure, because I've not yet taken time to look at which institution actually is responsible for that. But all in all, you find that, these workers are in categories. These employees are in categories, and it all depends on which institution they actually worked for. So you find that, like the way you've mentioned, there's NAPSA, there's public
service pension fund.
Yeah. So I'm not too sure as to which one should be responsible, but all in all, whichever institution is responsible, whoever person is responsible over this matter, let them ensure that actually they do their work thoroughly well, to make sure that every Zambian citizen, especially the retirees, are actually attended to. They are given their dues, because they are suffering. They become destitute in their own country.
Let's also extend the conversation to what we had alluded to much earlier, in terms of Zambia Police Service noting with concern incidents of damaging campaign materials belonging to political parties and candidates in some parts of the country. By the way, about 7 days ago, the head of state also did comment on this, saying that it's very unfortunate that individuals might even go down this particular route, and urging the cadres not to be able to react, which is also something that's very good. I think you have to give the flowers to the president, regardless of whichever side you are at. When it comes to issues of violence or rioting, he doesn't advocate for that, and kudos to the head of state in that particular regard. But I wanted to get your reaction first and foremost to reports of damaging campaign materials belonging to political parties and candidates in some parts of the country.
Thank you very much, Mark, for that question. To start with, I'm one of the people actually who raise concerns over this peacefulness that we are experiencing. I even went to the extent of saying people are no longer printing campaign materials such as posters, billboards. We are only able to see a few of them, maybe for the president and others. But as for the opposition, I've never come across one. So that was actually a concern. Why? Because we are used to these issues. Every campaign period, we see people actually branding their vehicles, printing these posters, billboards, and they're all over. Now, when you talk about printing, campaign materials, it involves money. And one of the reasons that actually I looked at for not seeing all these campaign materials, or that people do not have money to do that. Meaning, the few that have managed to print those campaign materials have been struggling to come to organize, to mobilize funds. And somebody has struggled to mobilize funds just to print the campaign materials like posters and billboards. Then after spending that little money that they've struggled for, somebody now comes to pull down the campaign materials. Now that is a very serious state of affairs, Mark, John Mark. The reason is simple. Do you know that that alone can trigger, political violence? Because if the supporters of that particular person whose material has been put down, comes across that, they'll be able to say, okay, so this is what you are doing, so we are going to do this. So this is where now we find people fighting. This is now where we find, there's some political violence that has even been reported, recently. Even somebody has been killed. So why is this not good? It's not good in the sense that you are tampering with someone's advert, because that's an advert showing that I'm here, and I need to be voted for. But instead of actually looking at that one as someone's advert, you just go to the extent of pulling it down for your own interest. And what do you benefit out of it? Because that will not even make you win in the election.
Do you think that the fine, which is of course up to 200,000 penalty units, which is 80,000 kwacha, and also imprisonment for a period of up to 2 years or both, the fine is actually something that can deter would-be offenders? Is it enough?
That is not enough. That's not enough for John Mark. You know what? These are serious cases. Issues to do with elections, issues to do with campaign, these should be serious matters. When you talk about politics, do you know that this is business? It's business. Politics is business, and people want to actually invest into this business. So that once they are in power, then they have the jackpot. They have everything that they need. But then for somebody to have all this, this kind of arrangement, it means that they've spent, they've invested. So for you or me to go to the extent of pulling down someone's advert,
the minimum, and looking so humble, saying, no, we have come to save you. It's not about making any form of money.
We see them washing for us as well.
That is the total pretense. Power is,
are you saying all of them are pretenders?
Power is sweet. Are you saying most of them are pretenders? Most of them are pretenders. Power is sweet, Babantu. Because when you have power, when you have power, when you are in that seat as a leader, as a member of parliament, as a councillor, you have all the privileges, all the opportunities around.
So you say most of them are pretenders.
Most of them.
How can the electorates be able to?
No, we are speaking to we are speaking to these issues for the benefit of Zambians. Right now, these same aspiring candidates are busy going around. They are busy dishing out to my t-shirt, my talk time, and others. So all we are saying is, let's be mindful of who we vote for. We need to assess, we need to evaluate every Jim and Jack to ensure that we vote for the right person.
Go to the CBD. I was just there. Is it just today? And I was walking through, and I noticed that when it comes to the posters, some of the posters you find that, for example, I'll just use both of you as an example. Let's say candidate A being governance expert Wesley, and the candidate B being Naomi Musoya. You find that candidate A places his poster on maybe, let's just say, a small placard per se, and then Naomi's carders comes and then they cover your poster with her poster. What do you make of that?
It's as good as pulling it down, because why should you put your poster on top of Naomi's poster?
But go to the CBD right now. It's there. Go to the CBD. Go and check.
And that should be regarded as a crime as well. Why? Because these people that do that, why don't we actually qualify them to be the same people who actually put down other people's adverts?
But when I'm reading what the police are saying, it says defacing, removing, damaging, and destroying. So they've not damaged, but they've simply put one on top of the other.
But somebody is not even able to see the face of.
So is that as good as defacing?
But anyway, you
are big.
It's as good as defacing.
That could actually lead to violence. And I also like you to speak into the pockets of violence that we've been able to see. Zambia has earned its reputation as one of the region's most peaceful countries by choosing the ballot over violence. But what we're seeing now is not really good for our eyes and for Zambia. 42 days to go now to the polls, even away from, the defacing of the campaign posters to now actually the killings. This is so un-Zambian. What is your take regarding that?
I want to first of all give accolades to the Republican President, Mr. Kainde. He's on record. He clearly states no violence. He even assured Zambians and the global community that Zambia is going to have very free, peaceful and fair elections. But is this what we are seeing now? It's different. I was telling some people that, this political environment may seem to be peaceful as it is, but it's not what we think. Okay? It's quite fragile. Anything can actually erupt. Now, when I received some reports, was it yesterday, when somebody was showing me some pictures of somebody who was killed in Kaputa, and the other one was killed in Magoye. Now, when you talk about Kaputa, somebody claimed that that person who was killed was actually a UPND supporter, okay? Because he even had a T-shirt. I think it was a UPND T-shirt. So and there's a lot of allegations that are coming from there. They are saying no, it's the opposition that did what? That killed the person. Others are saying no. Beka Chabe, in their own group, they were drinking, and then at the end of the day, the fight started. And that person who was killed actually was the one actually trying to provoke the other person. So when actually the fight started, at the end of the day, that person was killed. So we have a lot of all these that now. All we are saying is, why should we have such political violence? What do we gain out of it? Because you cannot win an election, through political violence. Politics or election is all about competing. you politics, you compete, with ideas. You don't actually compete because you are muscular. You are able to actually give good punches to somebody. No. You are winning because you understand what you want to achieve at the end of the day in terms of your plans. They are better than other people's plans.
Are police doing enough? Are we going to see them intensify security for the polls?
Police, you know what? I'm happy. I've come across one of the titles, there where they are saying, the Zambia Army, is it defense? What is it? Zambia Army and what should actually, control the situation and not the police. It's politics. I've seen one of your titles there.
Yes. From the army must defend the republic, not police. It's politics.
Thank you. So when you look at that title, it simply means that there are times when our law enforcement agencies become overwhelmed. They become, we have very few, police officers across the country. Very few. If you look at the ratio, you find that maybe 958, people to be manned by one police officer. So meaning our officers are not enough, and there are times when they get overwhelmed. But what you should understand is that police officers work hand in hand with all the security wings. That should include the Zambia Army. But when somebody mentions Zambia Army, do you know what happened? There was a very hot debate. Was it last week? When somebody was saying, why should actually Zambia Army be involved in this? Why? Because there will be some kind of intimidation. It's not intimidation. These people actually work hand in hand. They work together. They work in collaboration with all the security wings to ensure that they protect the lives of citizens. So of course, in such instances where we have acts of violence, why don't we involve other security wings? If the police officers actually are overwhelmed, we can still bring in other security wings to ensure that we beef up the support. Okay? Because what we want to see at the end of the day is Zambian citizens should be safe. People's lives should be protected. Okay? The national security should be protected. So this is what we need to look at, at a larger picture. So all we are saying is, going forward, we want to actually see to it that, the police officers are proactive. Because, look, we are talking about investigations here. We don't know what will come out of that. Even the Magoye one, we don't know what will come out of that. But once we have such incidents, politics, political violence actually something that should not be accepted at any time. Why? Because Zambia is known to be a beacon of peace on the African continent. Not only that, even globally. So the outside world actually is busy watching to see how we'll go through all this electoral process. Are we going to remain peaceful or not? So these are some of the issues that we need to look at as we talk about, elections. Elections are quite fragile. This election, the political environment is quite fragile. I want to assure Zambians, it's not as peaceful as you may wish to think. And this is a very stiff competition. Already we are talking about two contenders here. Of course, we may have others that are on board, but some of them have already started withdrawing. You know that at the last minute they've already started withdrawing. And we also want to actually speak to this John Mark. Had it not been for Bill 7, which came to make some changes on certain clauses in the constitution, especially where a presidential candidate actually withdraws, and then when that happens, ECZ would still go back and maybe reschedule those elections, and they will do the printing of the ballot papers. We are going to see a lot of all these issues, and a lot of money was going to be spent just to do the print of the ballot papers. So what we are saying is, we are in a crucial time. We are in an election time, and people need to be mindful of the fact that these elections are very stiff. They are very crucial. It's up to all our political players
to say about what we've alluded to. Directors, let's go to that clip to do with NRPUP candidate alleging that UPND offered him 700,000 kwacha to withdraw. Of course, NRPUP candidate did allege this, and we want to also just get your 2 cents on that, but we might not necessarily dive into that as much because of time. We want to ensure that we give you ample time to call through. A number of people say, why don't you open up the phone lines early? We're opening up the phone lines so that you can call through. This is your moment. This is your time. We'll go straight to that story, and then we'll be able to get to the phone calls shortly.
What I'm saying is that the UPND have approached me to say, can you withdraw from the race? You shouldn't stand on the NRPUP as the Member of Parliament for West South. All they wanted was their candidate to go unopposed. You know, with the UPND, I've worked with UPND for the past 5 years because I was the sitting council chairperson for Rumezi district. And some of these things and some of the projects I'm talking about, I know them. I'm talking about this from the informed decision because I know I've been the cooperatives that we created, that we maybe formed so that they should venture into mining. Up to now, they have not been given licenses. So this is the system of UPND. Only those cooperatives who are related to UPND, they have been given mining licenses. But those cooperatives who are not connected to UPND, up to now they are still struggling with the documentation. So we are seeing at that to say UPND, they are segregated.
Okay. Honorable, now you mentioned about being enticed to withdraw so that their candidates could go through. How much were you offered any money or something?
Yes, the amount which they mentioned, it was a 700,000 kwacha. So just imagine, to be given a 700,000 kwacha, I can't be a sellout for my political party. I'm loyal to my political party. And you know, as Oliver Male, as the former council chairperson for Rumezi, was the sitting council chairperson for Rumezi district. And some of these things and some of the projects I'm talking about, I know them. I'm talking about this from the informed decision because I know I've been seeing what the UPND guys are doing. That's why I even mentioned to say, when it comes to grants, when it comes to loans, the bursaries, those who benefit are only those who are connected to UPND only. These others, they can't be the beneficiaries because of the same system they are using. So I was just looking at them to say, oh, so these people, this is what they are doing. But all in all, I cannot join UPND. UPND has failed the people of Rumezi. UPND have made the people of Rumezi to suffer a lot, starting with farmers. You know, in Rumezi we have mines. There's nothing that we have done. The cooperatives that we created, that we maybe formed so that they should venture into mining, up to now they have not been given licenses. So this is the system of UPND. Only those cooperatives who are related to UPND, they have been given mining licenses. But those cooperatives who are not connected to UPND, up to now they are still struggling with the documentation. So we are seeing at that to say UPND, they are segregated.
Okay. Honorable, now you mentioned about being enticed to withdraw so that their candidates could go through. How much were you offered any money or something?
Yes, the amount which they mentioned, it was a 700,000 kwacha. So just imagine, to be given a 700,000 kwacha, I can't be a sellout for my political party. I'm loyal to my political party. And you know, as Oliver Male, as the former council chairperson for Rumezi, I was elected through the Patriotic Front. Yes, through the Patriotic Front ticket. So.
Welcome to New World of Entertainment in Zambia. Cartoons, music, news, movies, drama, series, documentaries, food, travel, the best from Hollywood and Bollywood, international football, including CAF competitions, La Liga, Serie A, German Bundesliga, Saudi League, Carabao Cup, Asian Championship, Barclays Women's League, local leagues, and much more. Grab your Azam TV decoder at 350 Zambian kwacha and full kit at 589 Zambian kwacha. Affordable monthly packages: 100 Zambian kwacha, 200 Zambian kwacha, and 300 Zambian kwacha. For more details, contact us on 971-246-222, 763-664-455. WhatsApp 77-500-0013. Azam TV, entertainment for everybody. Welcome to New World of Entertainment in Zambia. Cartoons, music, news, movies, drama, series, documentaries, food, travel, the best from Hollywood and Bollywood, international football, CAF competitions, La Liga, Serie A, German Bundesliga, Saudi League, Carabao Cup, Asian Championship, Barclays Women's League, local leagues, and much more. Grab your Azam TV decoder at 350 Zambian Kwacha and full kit at 589 Zambian Kwacha and watch all your favorite channels free for 2 months. For more details, contact us on 971-246-222, 763-664-455. WhatsApp 77-500-0013. Azam TV, entertainment for everybody.
For 30 years, First Quantum Minerals has been creating opportunities for local businesses and building a supply chain that keeps Zambia's economy moving. At this year's Zambia International Trade Fair, we're showcasing our suppliers and contractors from Kansanshi Mining PLC and Trident Mine. Proof of what real local procurement looks like. In 2025 alone, we spent over $2.1 billion with Zambian suppliers, working with 1,500 local businesses and 11,500 contractors across our operations. Visit our stand at the trade fair in Ndola and see what 30 years of partnership we have built together.
Voting is one of the few moments where we all have a voice.
One person, one vote.
No titles, no status.
Just a choice.
It's not about doing nothing.
It's about showing up.
Because your vote matters.
It's easy.
It's important.
It's ours.
Count me in.
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 In every celebration, there's a simple choice being made. To belong, count me in. In moments of love and promises for tomorrow, count me in. At the checkout line, in the middle of an ordinary day, a reminder that every number matters. Count me in. Across our communities, our streets, the same message finds us. Count me in. From the everyday worker to the hands shaping our future every day, the call is the same. Count me in. And around the traditions that bring us together, the message becomes impossible to ignore. Count me in.
This election season, your vote counts. Get your NRSC and voters card ready.
Count me in.
Remember how I said, or how the Bible says, being a Christian nation, I can quote the Bible, thankfully. How the Bible says, forgive 70 times 70. I'm going to help you get to that 70. I told you that I was going to open up the phone lines, but we've had a slight change in programming in the last 10 minutes. Instead of taking the calls, we'll be able to just dive into another very interesting conversation. Do bear with me. I'll compensate you tomorrow. That I can guarantee. Because we want to dive into conversations to do with 313 Racing. And we have with us the President and the Vice President, respectively, Mohammed and Emmanuel. Beginning with Mohammed. Good morning and welcome.
Morning. Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Good. And of course, Emmanuel, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm alright. Thanks. How are you?
Good. First and foremost, let me begin with Mohammed in terms of 313 Racing. For those who have not caught wind of it, what is 313 Racing?
Basically, 313 Racing is a racing team. It's a Zambian racing team that is comprised of bikers and car drivers who race internationally and locally.
Awesome, awesome. And how long has it been in existence?
3-on-3 Racing is a fairly new team, you can say that. We are 2 years and running. Hopefully we continue and keep it as long as possible.
True, very, very true. And trust me, I feel like you've got a very good audience, especially in Zambia, because I know a number of gamers, and they love racing games, the need for speeds, the whatnot. So it's perfect. It's perfect for this country as well. Emmanuel, what competitions have you competed in thus far, even as 3-on-3?
Okay, so 3-on-3 in Zambia, we've competed in the national drag events. Then internationally, we've competed in Kenyan events, drag events, the Zimbabwean drag events as well, and South Africa as well as Malawi.
Okay, yeah. And tell me about the competition. How has been the competition within the region?
Competition has been very stiff, but we've managed to leave our footprint everywhere we went.
Awesome, awesome. And which one is the team to beat?
Right now, there's no team to beat. We are the team to beat.
I love that. That's what I was expecting. I like that. And what's it like hosting the drag races?
It's been a lot of work. It's been a great experience learning what it is to host, and yeah, it's coming right, and it's all gonna go well. Sure.
Take us behind the scenes of even hosting, because it's one thing to just simply attend, but to be able to host days leading to. Tell us about the pressure and briefly just the logistics roughly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. You know, you need to prepare basic things like toilets, the safety poles, the wire fences, you know, the little things people don't think about that have to go into planning, even just the areas so they can all be safe, the safety barriers and all of that people need to look at. Yeah.
I'm glad you talked about issues to do with safety. Directors, I know that some of the pictures are going to be even on the screen even as we engage, and I want you to briefly dive into that, Mohammed, in terms of safety, because every time we talk about racing, there are individuals who want to come and watch, spectators want to come and watch, but others are thinking, I come with my young one, how safe are they, how safe am I? Tell us about safety.
So on the safety precautions, we take them very seriously here in Zambia. So that's the number one priority before running any race. So we would have barriers that are protecting the crowd, and behind the barriers would have tires and 1-ton bags filled with sand, just not to allow the car to go into the crowd, you know. And the crowd are always at a safe distance. We don't keep them on the road.
True.
They're always at a safe distance where we give them space in case anything goes wrong, they can move away, you know. So in Zambia, we actually do take our safety quite serious. If you look at other countries, when they're drag racing on the road, you see the crowd right in the middle of the road. Here we don't allow that.
And out of curiosity, are either of you behind the wheel?
Yes, we're both behind.
How does it feel being behind the wheel? I'm okay watching. I'm okay watching, but how is it behind the wheel?
It's exhilarating. It's
Tell us about the thrill. Is there anything like that?
No, I don't think so. Especially if you're on a bike. Yeah, it's very high adrenaline. It's a very high adrenaline sport, you know. It's mostly the race is like 10 seconds, but in those 10 seconds you reach the speeds of 230 kilometers per hour, so you can't get that anywhere else.
How does it feel where you're behind the wheel, you're getting to 230, and then you have to get back on the road and maintain the speed limits?
Yeah, so you see, on the drag race the road is closed. So when it's closed, you have a braking distance, what we call braking distance. So the race itself is 400 meters, and then from the 400 meters you have another 700 meters to stop your bike and turn around and come back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Directors, let's just have one of those pictures on the screen, because I know that, lovely. There we go. So there's actually something very interesting coming up very, very shortly. Let's just keep that on the screen, directors. That's, of course, the national first drag race, of course, on Guerrero Road of Kashishi Junction, and I can see a couple of flags there. I can see Malawi, I can see Kenya as well, and I can see the 5th of July. What is going to take place on the 5th of July?
5th of July, we have our first national drag race in Zambia.
The first?
Yes.
Of its kind?
No. The first this year,
okay.
2026.
Okay.
Yeah. This is going to be the first, and we'll have a second one, which is going to be somewhere in September. So this is the first leg of the national drags. So we have teams that are coming from Kenya, teams that are coming from Zimbabwe, teams that are coming from Uganda and Malawi to compete in our country. So right now I can say it's more like Zambia versus the other teams.
Yes. Yeah. Ah, lovely. So with 5 days to go, what should people be able to expect, even as they are anticipating the thrill of the races?
Well, it's actually 3 days to go.
3 days to go, perfect.
It's 3 days to go, and it's gonna be one of its kind, because we have our local drivers with new machines. We have foreign crews that are coming with also new machines, and it's going to be leave it all on the track, kind of thing. So I urge people to come and don't miss it.
Indeed. And I'll leave Emmanuel with the last word. We have about 2 minutes before we even wrap up. I can see one of the captions here says, "Some moments deserve a front row seat." Emmanuel, what is your message to those who are watching through, stakeholders who maybe want to come on board and even support 313 Racing? What is your message to them, and even for those who are excited, anticipating that day, which is 3 days to come?
Yeah, my first message will go to the people that support us, to say they're always welcome and their support is always needed, and without them we wouldn't be able to have these events, and their support is highly appreciated always, and we hope the support continues to keep growing. And for people that aspire to join in, they're always welcome to start learning, training, preparing, and then also once eventually getting ready to participate in these events, because the bigger we can get these events, the more and more support we can even get from the higher ups with our own dedicated track, and that would be the place we want to go next. So support is important.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. It's been a pleasure having you, and we of course just looking forward to seeing the both of you behind the wheel as well, doing your thing in those few minutes. I always wonder to say, in a short space of time, and you're able to make those quick decisions at a high speed, it requires a certain level of ability and capacity. Like they say, don't try this at home, but you can be able to come and watch it and have a good time on Sunday. Thank you so much for coming through, and we're grateful that you have been able to even shed more light on that. Just very quickly, Muhammad, tell us about the venue. I don't think we've touched the venue as much.
Well, the venue is going to be Ngwerere Road off Kasisi. Just by that road that leads you to Bonanza.
Yes,
that's the portion of the road we're going to be closing it down for the races.
Awesome. Muhammad, Emmanuel, it's been a pleasure, and hoping that you'll be able to follow through even 313. And very quickly, before I forget, any social media presence that people can follow.
Yes, we have an Instagram page, we have a TikTok page, and a Facebook page, so they can follow us at 3.
Cartoons, music, news, movies, drama, series, documentaries, food, travel, the best from Hollywood and Bollywood, international football, including CAF competitions, La Liga, Serie A, German Bundesliga, Saudi League, Carabao Cup, Asian Championship, Barclays Women's League, local leagues, and much more. Grab your Azam TV decoder at 350 Zambian Kwacha and full kit at 589 Zambian Kwacha. Affordable monthly packages: 100 Zambian Kwacha, 200 Zambian Kwacha, and 300 Zambian Kwacha. For more details, contact us on 971-246-222. 763-664-455. WhatsApp 77-500-0013. Azam TV, entertainment for everybody.